Going all in on Bitcoin seems scary. It seems extreme and it seems like a radical choice. But if you're honest and you're watching exactly what's going on currently in the world, you don't really have another option. This is what Noah Kaufman, today's guest, did understand. Let's talk about bear market conviction. Let's talk about going all in on Bitcoin and the psychology that it takes to do that. Enjoy. Hi Noah, how are you doing? Everything fine on your end?
Robin, great to see you. Yeah, my puppy attacked me, so I'm battle injured today, but it's really good to see you, old friend.
Do you have something on the eye? I have something on the lip. It seems like we were fighting beforehand.
Yeah, no, life is good. It's really good. It's exciting right now. It's crazy. And I think that in these times when Bitcoin is nobody cares about it and it's down and it's doing nothing, it's a great time to build, and it's a great time to just keep stacking and just keep doing stuff and just keep creating value in the world.
Yeah, and I think this is like a really good time because having like if you are a Bitcoiner and you really are into the sphere, it can do bad and good things to you when the Bitcoin price goes up and down. And I think this is actually something we don't talk that much about, like the mental load on someone that
Mhm.
is maybe the only one in his whole uh, social circle, friends and family that is a Bitcoiner, that is known to be the Bitcoiner, that has
Mhm.
maybe 80% plus of his net worth in Bitcoin, and then seeing how, and you always talk positive about it. You always say like, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. And while
Yeah.
this is happening, the price is just crashing down 50%. Um, I, I can only imagine that because I now have so many people around me that I personally know, that I meet regularly, that actually are Bitcoiners, that believe in the same thing, and then it's a way easier to stay focused. But
Mhm.
if you're the like only guy or girl in your environment that is fully focused on Bitcoin and is the only in the only social circle, I feel like it's hard. Like if there's a drop of 50%.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think there's a psychological load of questioning, like, oh my gosh, was I wrong? Like I bought it this and I bought it that. And of course, that it's all fiat thinking, right? Like we know as Bitcoiners ultimately that it's just the size of your stack. Uh, it, Nothing else really matters. I mean, the price is you can price something in a moving target, a melting ice cube, and worry about it. But I think that Bitcoin attracts people who have an open mind and who are really wanting a better world in the future, something that's more fair. And we've talked about this, and everybody talks about this at length. So, it's one thing to say those things, but it's another thing to like really incorporate those things deeply into your life. And I think the only time it really matters is if you're like 100% allocated and you need to pay rent and you need to pay things. So you need to sell Bitcoin to do it. And when you sell it at like a lower exchange rate in this temporary time, that might feel like really hard. And as you said, if you're the only Bitcoiner in your circle, then when you're right, because everybody's always thinking in fiat, and so they're looking at the fiat price. So when you're right, it's like, oh, you're a genius, and like, oh, I should I get in it now? And you start getting the texts from people you haven't seen in years, but then and now it's like it's all confirmation bias. Now it's like everybody's like, see, it was 120 something, and now it's 70, it's down and it's gonna go to zero. And so I think that the you're right. When you're surrounded by people who want the world to be a better place, just like you do, it's much easier. And if you're not, you can be over allocated if you actually have to pay for rent and food and these sorts of um, things, and you end up exchanging at a higher rate and then go to a lower rate. So I always think it's good to probably have a small cash cushion just of money coming in and out for now. But it's a good point.
I'm wondering how you think about that because we are so short-term focused. Like we really put a lot of focus on the last couple of weeks and months and on how we feel about Bitcoin and how the consensus is, how bullish or bearish we currently are, which is interesting because like 6 years ago, we were 1/10 of the price that we are now. Like 2020, we were around, I don't know, 3 to 10K. And now we are around the 60, 70, 80K range, depending on what day it is. And so if you are a Bitcoiner that is in it for a few years, you've made some good gains, you've seen it going up and down, and you should live a way better life than you've lived like 10 years before. But
Yeah.
somehow we are really shocked by, oh, it's down 50%, but I'm still up like 10x in 6 years.
Yeah, that's right. You like it. You really kind of forget. You've got that short term. I think it's called recency bias. And so like you think, oh my God, I've had this much for for this period, and now it's down. Uh, but I think for a lot of us, like I've been in it since 2015, and uh, like I remember there was a time where I used to watch the price, and then if it would go up like crazy, I would sell. And then if it would go down, I would try and buy. And I would get that wrong, and I would lose sometimes, and I would get fearful. I'm not a good trader, I was dumb. Um, it wasn't really till COVID that I started to really understand, and that Bitcoin is only for really buying, unless you like really need to liquidate it for some reason. But yeah, I mean, the cool thing is now, after, gosh, 3 cycles or whatever, or who knows where we're at, if there's even a cycle anymore, but, um, I don't even check the price, which is interesting. So someone will tell me, "Oh, do you see what it's doing?" And I'm like, "I have no idea." I'm really focused on building something and growing, and creating something in the world, like, with Bitcoin, as a part of it, as part of a circular economy, because that's what we really need to do. Like, I think ultimately there's been this big transition from a lot of retail hype and excitement when it was like this small asset, like much less than $1 trillion asset, and it's still a small asset, but now it's like governments are getting involved, and it's been really crazy to see all the things come true that we not we like that people used to talk about, the OGs used to talk about, that I used to listen to on podcasts, you know, uh, 7 to 10 years ago, and I was like, wow, that would be crazy, and now a lot of that stuff has come true, and so now a lot of people are like, huh, a lot of that stuff has come true. I would think that we'd be at $1 million, or per BTC, or we'd be at this, and I think that it's like watching a child grow. It's like this slow process, and um with sudden spurts and growth, and growth periods, but then like this even steady, uh kind of adoption and evolution. And so as long as that continues, and as long as it's a 10x better technology, and there's nothing really else, um it's just kind of fun to watch at this point. And I think the interesting thing is, we all know about low time preference, and we all know that it's good to have a low time preference, and it's good to just chill and go touch grass and not worry about it, and like get worked up about it. um but really, that it changes you over time, and over time I think it becomes easier and easier to just let it do its thing, and you've already kind of dealt with it, and you're at peace with it, and you have your truth about it, and you hope for a better, brighter future, and you just let it work, you let it grow, just kind of like your garden. And I think that's where I'm at, and it's a much healthier place for me than obsessing about it, 'cause I'm just a normal human being. So I remember I used to do that, and I would watch it, and this is much better on this side.
Yeah, I compare it to, so like the past 2.5, 3 years, depending on where exactly you put the starting point is on there. I'm trying to build my company, the media thing with the podcast, other things associated with that. And there are days where I'm like, oh, I'm on top of the world. It's like everything is going amazing. And then there are days where I'm like, oh gosh, everything is breaking down. Like it's all going to hell. Like all is going like really bad.
Yeah.
And this is only always short term. And sometimes I have those feelings, both those feelings in 1 week, which does not make
Mm.
like a week cannot be that good and that bad in like 1 week normally. And so we really have that feeling in the moment. And if we zoom out and just like look a few years back, not even like 10, 20 years, just like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years back, we see like, oh yeah, like I've been here and like I've built that. And with Bitcoin also now, 6 years ago, there was no company involved in Bitcoin. Now we are talking about, are there too many companies involved in Bitcoin?
Yeah. Right.
It's a crazy thing to even think about. So there's a lot of exciting things going on in Bitcoin. And I think the people that are most panicked are the ones that are the earliest in their journey,
Yeah.
or the
Yeah.
ones that haven't really done their homework to the fullest yet.
And that's part of the journey. And I think most of us have been there. You know, you and I get philosophical quite a bit. And I think one way to think about it is, you know, like we're these crazy, chaotic meat sacks walking around like skin and bone and flesh and brain. And like we're walking around and we're just these centers of consciousness and we're kind of trapped by our own little bubble of consciousness. But the superpower of the mind is that it can extend and it can think in a broader sense. But it's not easy because you have to gain perspective. You have to try and think about things like from other people's shoes and try and think about things from society's shoes. And even though we're trapped in this little bubble, it's really a superhuman. It's a superpower to be able to have a mind that can imagine a broader, like to lift up out of your current situation and look down. And I think when you're talking about, you know, being both the highs and the lows in 1 week, and I have the same thing as a founder now and trying to build something with Bitcoin. You know, you it's not easy, but if you can sit down and you can relax a little bit and start to just let your mind wander and float up to 30,000 feet and look at everyone and everything. Um, Maybe sometimes you can do it, maybe sometimes you can't, but it's a really good exercise to try and step outside of yourself and say, okay, what's really happening here if I kind of leave myself and think about just humanity, think about what my friends are doing, think about what my family thinks, think about what people are doing. That can give you a really good perspective and it can ground you and it can bring you back down to earth, whether you're too high or you're too low. And because, you know, being too high can be fun, you know, like, oh my God, Bitcoin's crushing. It's, you know, it's running, it's doing its thing, but it's also volatile and it's also, you know, you can get almost like too giddy or too anxious about something like that. And I think when you have that capability, like, you know, it's interesting for me. Um, it's not like when Bitcoin like really goes down or crashes, I literally don't care anymore. Like I look at and to see what cash is available to me to buy more. And then when it's really going up, I don't care at all because I know it's probably not going to stay there. It's probably going to dip down again 50% or whatever it is. And it's like it's so temporary and I know I'm not going to sell it. So like I really don't even care if it goes like if it went up to 250 tomorrow, you know, or 500, I just it like I'd be like, "Oh, okay, you know, that's sooner than I expected. What do I got on the schedule today?" Like it's not like I would do anything different, you know? And the only thing I do different is when it dips because then I like scrounge together like what resources I have to increase the size of my stack because that's the only really important thing for me, my son, my business, you know, my partner, and my friends and family, my little circle. So it's much better in life, I think, to be even keeled and enjoy good meals, enjoy company, and not stress so much about something that is by its nature hyper volatile.
Do you have, as someone that has been in since multiple cycles, personal finance things for people that get involved in Bitcoin? Because I think a lot about the mistakes I've made along the way with holding Bitcoin. I was at some point indebted to get more Bitcoin, which was a mistake. I lost some. I didn't take my security serious enough. I lost some. There's a lot of lessons you learn along the way, especially if you're in like multiple years, maybe even like multiple cycles. And one of that new learning that I had over the last 1-2 years was that it's not a bad idea to have some fiat buffer also, like to not be 100% maxed out, to actually have some working capital in your local fiat currency that you can use to buy stuff, or like to fix your roof or buy a new car because it's breaking down or something like that. Do you have some kind of personal finance tips? I'll just like call it like that, to be more calm in those situations.
I mean, well, my only tips wouldn't be finance, they would be more psychological. Because what I would say is I'm messy and I'm just as flawed and imperfect and I'm not, it's funny, they say doctors are really bad with money. I'm like living, walking proof of that. I mean, I've lost over half my stack in the past. And yeah, like over the years. I mean, at one point I had like a lot of Bitcoin, and now I don't even have access. Like I keep myself from even having access to it. So nobody could even wrench attack me because they like I won't get into details, but I don't even like it's part of a trust and other people manage it and blah 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 blah. And so I would say that psychologically though, in terms of advice, if you can find a way to start building something in this world that creates value for other people, then you will become so passionate about that everything else will fall to the wayside. If you don't have something like that where you're building and you're growing something, making something with your own hands and your mind and a team, then your mind is always going to search for something to like obsess about and to try and grow and build because that's what we do. And so it's a little bit unhealthy if you don't have like a specific direction. And so sometimes people co-opt Bitcoin or a religion or something like that to become that thing that they can focus on. And then that can be unhealthy, especially if it's such a volatile thing by its nature. So I would say that, the people who create and the people who build, l- like, probably are much more even keeled and healthy when it comes to dealing with the volatility of like Bitcoin or something. I mean, like it's very unhealthy to be checking your phone every 5 minutes, and it's very unhealthy to be trading. Trading is like a horrible game. Even if you're really good at it, which like 1% of people are. And then if you think you're really good at it, it's like you're gonna be like, "Oh, I'm so great. I did this." And then it's just like one day and you lose a ton. And that's how it goes. And that's part of being human. And that's like uh so I'd say to answer, if you're building something and growing something, like it's like instead of hoping that the price of Bitcoin goes up in fiat terms, help build the in your little place in this world, help build the community, help build the circular economies that bring more people in, that educate people, and offer ways for people to actually use Bitcoin, because that's the really only important thing, at the end of the day with this technology.
Do humans need kind of like an obsession? Like I think a lot about that because I definitely need it. Like I need to be passionate or obsessed or like with something. It's just like so much better. And I don't even know. I always had something since like I'm 18 years old. So I don't know if there's an other state, but is there something that like we need something like that?
Yes, absolutely. Think about our evolution. Think about the last 300,000 years, go back a million years. Everything has always been about survival. Everything. And for most of our human evolution, we've been living in caves and we've been killing each other and saber-toothed tigers. I mean, I don't think saber-toothed tigers actually were around at the same time, but there was like this ever-present stress to live, which meant you had to carve rock into spears and you had to get food for winter because otherwise everybody would starve. You had to fight disease, you had to get strong and be healthy, you had to be able to run to outrun predators. You had like so for all of humanity, you we were doers. Like you had to do to live. And now all of a sudden we're like our very own pets. Like we create these lives of really incredible abundance. And because of recency bias and because we don't know any better, we think that if you lay around in bed till noon and you like, if you don't have enough money, like our minds find something to worry about because we're designed to worry about things. Because if you don't worry about things, you get eaten. So so you have to worry about something. And if you're not doing something constantly, like pushing yourself, building, growing, creating something like a vision and following a path in life that you create and that you build and that you walk on, if you don't create that for yourself, reality will create that for you, and some type of externalization, some type of external pressure will become your obsession and will become your anxiety. And I think that's what most people fall prey to. So I think the happiest and most well-adjusted and even keeled people are the people who take their own natural neuroticism and obsessions and push those and funnel those into creating something that's bigger than themselves, that creates value for other people in the world. And that is, it's why billionaires are still on X and why they still work so hard. It's like we're not doing it for money at the end of the day. Money is like the head fake. What we're really doing it for is survival and the need to fill that space that otherwise would cause us to be anxious and depressed and allow these external things to really dictate and be the puppet master and kind of dictate how our emotions and our day-to-day life is. And so I see that with a lot of patients when people are purposeless or aimless or they're not building something. When people are employees for someone else, that's also hard unless they really love what they're doing and they really believe in the potential of it. But for most people, it's really hard to find purpose, and so some type of external purpose is they accept some kind of external purpose as a proxy, and then that creates a lot of anxiety. Really, really good question, and I'm not sure if I have the perfect answer for it, but I think that it has to do with how we're hardwired, how we're built, and how we're created as creatures that have a survival instinct.
This is really something that fascinates me because if you look at famous examples like an Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg or like people that are in the richest top, I don't know, 100 list, they created so much. They don't have to worry at all about survival. They can literally have an amazing life the rest of their life, probably for 1,000 people, and can support that very easily, just financially, just from a can they survive or not standpoint. But they still work very hard and try to solve very big, very hard problems and deal with
Mhm.
probably a lot of shit that
they might not even want to deal with. I don't know, like they probably, I cannot even imagine how many problems come on a daily basis to a guy like Elon Musk. Like that must be absurd amounts to even withstand
Pressure.
that mentally, the pressure, the things that go on. And I'm like, he actually got that asked once in a podcast where like, why are you not on the beach? Like why? And he said something like, oh, like it would be boring. Like what do I do there? Like, I don't know exactly what he says. There's something along those lines. And it's really,
he would be depressed.
Yeah, he would be depressed. And I'm like, people need like purpose in life. I think that's where it comes down to. It's just fascinating with those extreme rich people also.
There's a great example. I play little video games on my phone from time to time, like on Apple or something. Like I get an iOS app. And have you ever gotten a game, like for those of you who play games, have you ever gotten a game where it's a free game, but you can pay to advance and get further in the game? And if you've ever had this experience, sometimes the game can be really fun. But then you're like, man, I really want to like just get ahead in this game. And so you pay the $10 or the $40 or whatever it is, depending on your level of stupidity. I think I've paid like $100 before. But like you advance the game to where you want to be, and you have all the powers in the game. Guess what happens? You stop playing the game. The game is no longer fun. You're like, I ruined the game. So you can, if you have too much money, you can ruin the game and the game changes. So, it's funny because everybody thinks like, oh, if I only had this much money, I would be so happy and blah, 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 where there's studies that show that no, that is indeed not reality. And so money is not the answer. You cannot equate money to happiness. You need purpose and love and passion and like raison d'être. You need like a reason for being. You need a richness and a fullness in your life that can only come from personal accomplishment, from hard work, and from building something with your own two hands. And whether that's something you love poetry, or you want to explore the mountains for a new climbing area, or you want something that requires work, mental and physical work. And it's usually best if it's a combination of the two. But if your only obsession is something that comes from external, then your survival instinct creates this kind of like ennui, this boredom and this like anxiety about life where you don't have a lot of direction. And I think billionaires like can suffer from that, or people who have already really made it. And you see posts on X all the time, like, okay, I made $10 million. Now what do I do? Like I'm bored. And so if you've been building and growing your whole life, you know what to do. You just keep building and growing, or you grow something new, or you fund a new company, you build something. It's like being a big kid. You make a fort, like you make a fort just like you did when you were a kid, but instead of it being like a fort, it's a new company, a new AI company, a new medical company. For me, it's a brand new advanced urgent care that takes Bitcoin and prices everything in Bitcoin. And so like you grow and build something, and that becomes like a very satisfying endeavor that is fulfilling on a very deep level. And so it's not always easy because people don't know where to start. Most people don't know where to start, and that's the best lessons we can teach our children, is how to make something, how to come up with an idea and bring it into reality, how to go from 0 to 1. And that's the best way to have a happy, fulfilling life. um, not just focus on money or something. That's the wrong focus.
I'm also really obsessed with that question of where is the sweet spot of obsession and hard work. I've seen both ends where if you lose the purpose and you cannot just live in a day, I'll just bring that up very quickly. I don't know if I probably brought it up before in the podcast, but my grandma from my dad's side, when my granddad died, I saw her degrading like every single month. It was
Yeah.
fascinating because it was just something like she cooked for him, she made all the things for him, and even though she might sometimes was like like why is he complaining so much, that kept her fresh. That kept her like she did all the things, like she had a reason to go up. And I think that's like, oh, you lose that, like that one thing in your life, like that one person that pushes you, or like that one purpose that pushes you, or like whatever it is. I've seen that like shockingly fast how this goes. On the other side, there are multiple examples where if you go so hard and you're so obsessed with things, you can forget to brush your teeth and like you to eat and sleep and all of those necessities. And I'm really obsessed with like, how do I get the sweet spot of like having relaxing time, resting, but still having that push and a purpose and like that movement forward.
If you live in Europe like I do and want to buy Bitcoin the right way, check out Relai. Relai is a Bitcoin only platform with no distractions, no shitcoins, just a BTC. It's also the easiest way I've found to do what actually works, buying Bitcoin on a consistent basis. Relai is also self-custodial. They never have the keys to your Bitcoin. No freezing of your assets, no counterparty risk, no rug pulling whatsoever. I have been a long-term fan of Relai, not only because it's incredible, easy to use and very beginner friendly, but also because it just works. If you want to get started with Relai today, click the link down in the pinned comment or in the description. And once you have downloaded the app, type in Robin in the referral code section of the app to save 10% on fees. So set up your DCA Bitcoin plan today with the Relai app and get cheaper Bitcoin if you use code Robin. With Microseed, you can engrave your 12 or 24 word seed phrase, the entire seed phrase, onto a 1-inch small washer. Yes, just one washer. All 24 words on that one washer. You can hide that thing everywhere. And even better, you don't need to buy a new kit every time you have to get a new wallet. You can make unlimited backups because Microseed is not selling the washer. Microseed is selling the device that stamps the washer. So you get the full kit with the device, with the washers, with the hammer, with everything you need to get started today. And you can make with that unlimited amount of backups. Go now to microseed.io. Finally, we have BTC Prague back in 2026. And this year, I'm not only speaking on a panel, but I'm actually going to present an interesting new angle, a perspective, a Bitcoin thesis at BTC Prague this year for the first time ever. I've never done that on any other conference, so this will be a fun one. If you listen to this show on a regular basis, I would love to meet you in Prague this year. It's very high signal, no noise, and Prague is just a freaking amazing city with awesome drinks and a lot of good food. Use code Robin to get 10% off, and if you buy with Bitcoin, you get an additional 5% off your ticket price. I'll see you there in Prague. Make sure to come say hi.
It's a great question. And you know, I think that's what our emotions are for. I think our emotions are the safety nets and the guardrails, and they're kind of like sensors to let us know when we're approaching either end and to keep us in the sweet spot. And, you know, I'm over 50 now. So like I get this better and better understanding of where that sweet spot is and where that balance is for me. And I think it's different for everybody, and we're wired differently and we look different. And, you know, we have to find our own balance point, our own sweet spot. But what I do now is I let my emotions kind of dictate that. And we're always trying to control our emotions, you know, and that's not the right way to go, because emotions are just they're guidelines, they're limiters. And so when you push beyond them and you say, nope, I'm just gonna keep pushing, then you start building up like this energy inside that can be very negative on either side. You can be hyper manic or even hypomanic. You can be like more manic most of the time, like on the good side, and so excited and pushing so hard, and you forget to eat and brush your teeth, and you're working until midnight, and then you get 2 hours of sleep, and then you work. Then you're going to crash and burn, and you'll have a nervous breakdown, or your body is going to crash. Like everybody's does. And then on the downside, you can have depression and fear and worry and what like I said, ennui, and you can just lay in bed, and it can be very bad on either extreme. And so what I do personally, and I don't know if this will work for you or anybody else, and I'm sure you have your own way. But what I do is, like, if I'm working really hard and really excited, um, I can sometimes feel like I'm pushing too hard, and I feel that, and it's almost like an energy in here, like where it's like, um, okay, I'm like excited, things are going like really well, and that is the time that I will literally say, I'm gonna go take a walk. And people are like, oh, really? There's a lot to do. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna go take a walk, and I won't even have a direction. And I'll go take a walk, or if I can, I'll get up into the mountains. A lot of times you have a little bit more than like immediate need. Um, and then sometimes on the other side, if I'm starting to feel, and I'm normally not on the other side, because if anything, I'm hypomanic. But if I'm on the other side, I'll just start doing more. But you can really control both sides with action, and so you can control them. When you start to get towards the guidelines, towards the fence of your emotional limits, you can reel it in and bring yourself to a more calm state, or you can and either way, when you actively reset or refresh, when you're on either sides of those emotional goal lines, or like guidelines, um, it gives you like a real like sense of power and agency over yourself, and it really allows you to focus that much harder. So like the healthiest people I know are very good at staying in their lanes and not pushing themselves too hard for too long, or not pushing hard enough and doing nothing in life and laying on a beach. So and over time you learn those limits, and I think as you get older you have less capacity for stress. So I think you're kind of forced more and more to stay in a healthier space. But I think that you grow and learn and become stronger by pushing the limits and seeing where you just start to feel that anxiety or that energy, and say, okay, I need to slow down a little bit and take some deep breaths, or go on a walk, get into nature, touching grass, going into nature, getting sunlight. That is always like an incredibly powerful healing agent. Like on either end of the spectrum, and you could do a lot of really good thinking there, and kind of lose yourself and step outside of yourself and just be part of this incredibly miraculous reality.
Yeah, my fiance and I just made one decision that we're gonna move out of the city, which I'm very excited about. I lived up in the, I grew up in an area where you have always a forest very close by, and I want to get that again. And I'm super excited about that, because I always search for nature. And if you have to walk through a busy city for like 10, 15, 20 minutes to get to a calm space, it's not that nice. I want to have that calm space closer to me. But there's so many things,
100%.
so many things I want to get into.
Yeah.
I wanna just share that because it was really helpful for me. I have, as you also have, that more the problem of like going too hard and not too soft, especially the last like about 6 to 7 years, where I found some passion that I'm really excited about, and I always had something the last 6, 7 years. And so one indicator that I found was really helpful was how good do I sleep. And I have now since like a
Mhm.
couple of years always some sleep tracking device with me. And I noticed that I get into problems when my sleep gets not as good. And for me, just like seeing how well do I sleep, how good is the sleep score, is for me the biggest indicator of like, do I do good or do I do bad? If I get less sleep and I see like sleep debt is building up in my app, I'm like, oh yeah, like I resonate in on, I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And like, yeah, it was obvious. Like I have this, I should scale back to here. I should get back in nature and do all those things. So I don't know, maybe it's helpful for some people, just tracking the sleep or just like being aware of good sleep. That's my
Really
single
good point.
thing.
Really good point. I mean, putting your phone away an hour before sleep, things like this. And I'm not the best at it. It's hard for me to turn off my brain at night because, I'm like, okay, oh, I better grab the phone and put this on my list of things to do. Otherwise, I'm going to forget. And then, like, I do a lot of great thinking at night when I'm lying in bed about to go to sleep, which is just, like my brain wants to keep going and tackle problems and solve problems. um, and yeah, you're 100% right. Sleep is so mission critical, especially for people who are pushing on against that upper guardrail more often. That kind of obsessive create excitement about feeling like you're doing something that's changing the world a little bit, that's contributing, that's growing, and you have the potential to create happiness for people or whatever. So you're 100% right. I'm not the best at it. I really probably need to get a sleep tracker. I can just kind of intuit when I've had good sleep or not. Um, but it's a very, very important thing. I think it's really good that you bring it up, and I think that the everybody who's listening out there would benefit. And actually, I'm probably going to get, now that I think about it, a sleep tracker, because I intuit it, but it would be good to, the thing I've always worried about sleep trackers is if I wake up and my sleep tracker says, "Oh, you had like an average night or not that good," am I going to worry about it and say, "Oh, now I'm going to have a horrible day because my sleep tracker said I was like," you know, like I might get meta. I might get too meta on it and like worry about it or something and say, "Ah, today is not going to be a great day." So, how do you deal with that?
It's really interesting. My fiance also has a sleep tracker, and in the morning before we look at our phone, we now have the ritual of guessing what our sleep score will be.
Ah, yeah, yeah, cool.
And it's fascinating because you really get good at it. You learn like how you feel after a
Mm,
good night's sleep, and you learn how to feel after a bad night's sleep.
mhm.
And for example, when I wake up and I'm really tired in the morning, I slept better because then at wake up I was really like still in this
Mhm.
like I slept really deeply. And when I wake up and I'm like almost like my heart is a little bit on the higher end, like I'm almost like excited or nervous, and I have this like a little bit anxious of feeling. I usually had a horrible sleep because I couldn't really calm down and like get the resting heart rate down, the optimal thing.
Yep.
The heart rate variability didn't go
The
up as good,
variability.
and so it's really interesting because after some time, after having it like for half a year, you get really good in guessing within like 5 percentage points of guessing what your sleep score is
Mm.
is around about.
That's cool. I sometimes I will microdose melatonin at night before I go to sleep. Like I'll take half a milligram or something like that, and I'll drink like a sleepy time tea or like with lemon balm or something like that. Uh, and and I find that really helps. If I really have a lot going on and there's a lot of excitement. Uh, Around a particular event or something, then I find like those type of things will help. Do you use any adjuncts like that for pre-sleep?
No, I don't. Not at all. I don't know. When I have a good night sleep routine of like turning off the phone in time, going to bed in time, not waiting too long. Sometimes I have to have late night meetings because I'm in Europe and do a lot of things in America. So
Right.
the time zone is kind of killing me. And so then it's also bad because then I have like the lights turned on and all of those things. But if I
Right.
have perfect conditions, I just sleep very good. And for me, it's just like keeping the discipline of like having those conditions. There's one other thing. I don't know if you've noticed that or like someone else had that experience. If I have negative stress in life, I struggle to get to a really good sleeping stage. And if I have positive stress in life, like I'm excited for something that comes very close, I wake up at like 4 in the morning randomly,
Yeah.
like 2, 3 hours before I actually should get up. I don't know if like if there's a deeper reason, but I've noticed that if there's something really bad, like that kind of like, oh shit, there's something that I have to deal with and it's kind of negatively perceived for me, then I struggle to get to sleeping. And positive of like, hey, I'm getting this tomorrow. I'm like super excited to do that podcast or get on that stage or something like that. I wake up like super early. I'm like, shit, like I should sleep more.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It makes perfect sense. Yeah, I've not experienced that quite as much, but I go through phases that seem to be unrelated, but maybe they're more related, where I do wake up earlier in the mornings, and then sometimes, it's harder to get to sleep at night. Now we're opening this clinic, yeah, on Monday. It's actually on 4/20, which is classic. And so I've got a lot of excitement, and I've got a team to manage, and we're going to see great patients, and I'm really excited to serve the Bitcoin community in Denver also, and take Bitcoin and whatnot. But because of that, there's a lot of excitement right now, more so than most of the times I've spoken with you, where life is pretty just kind of even and steady. Um, and so that's why I'm kind of like taking a little bit of melatonin, and but I am getting to sleep, and I'm also trying to make sure that I'm exercising, because exercise is really, really an important part of the equation as well, especially if you've got like a lot of energy and you're so excited. Um, it's really helpful to exercise, especially in nature. And you can get out of the city or get out of a gym where you're on a treadmill and you feel like a rat in a wheel. It's much better to have sunshine on you and hike up a mountain. Just pick a mountain, no trail or anything, just hike it. And honestly, you're going to have such a good time. And get to the top of a small mountain is like the best thing you can do on a weekend.
You do gym also, or you're just like working out in nature or like with your own body?
I do the climbing gym. From time to time. I'm a member of the local climbing gym. I've always rock climbed. I've been a rock climber for 36 years. I've climbed all over the world. I've put up first ascents. I develop areas. That has been a little bit more difficult over the last year, because I actually I'm 51 now. I need to get back surgery, because over the last year, unfortunately, I need to get my back fused, because two of my vertebrae are like this, and they've just been rubbing, and there's no disc anymore. So it's not bad pain, but it's just making me kind of weak, and it's part of getting old. It's everybody has something. For me, it's my lower back, but so I can't climb the way I used to, and I can't really do certain things. But I will tell you that because of that, especially getting into the mountains and going on a hike with my dog, or climbing really easy, and when I hang on to holds, it like pulls my spine open. Those kind of things are so therapeutic, and it's not an emergency. At some point in the next year or two, I'll have to have my back fused. Um, but the just getting out there into nature, it's worth driving like an hour or 2 hours. It's so much better than the gym. So I'll only do the gym if it's bad weather, if I'm really busy and I can't do anything else. But getting out, like you're getting vitamin D, or like, this is one thing that I always think about when I'm out. When you go out into the forest, think about what you're looking at. There's like an infinite number of pine needles on the trees, or an infinite number of leaves. and like gravel and dirt and dust. The complexity of what you're looking at is almost infinite in nature. There's a gazillion blades of grass. But when you're in a city, there's defined geometric shapes. There's cars, and there's like in terms of your visual field, there's probably like, I mean, there's probably an equal amount of things like atoms that you're looking at. But if you're just looking at like a plain flat wall as part of a building, that's not as interesting for your brain as looking at an infinite amount of leaves and colors. And so I think that there's something that that has to be said uh, um, for experiencing nature and sunshine and those sorts of things. So I think outside is definitely the way.
The most important thing for your Bitcoin journey is not buying Bitcoin, but it's how to keep them. And yes, you have maybe the right tools, but how do you actually go ahead and stick it all together so it's the most secure for you personally? Self-custody is a deeply personalized journey, and the Bitcoin way is helping you exactly finding that correct setup for you personally. They are also helping you with securing your own cybersecurity. And if you want to go one step above all that, you can even get a consultation for a Plan B residency. Go to thebitcoinway.com/Robin and you will get a 30-minute free consultation. I finally and officially mine Bitcoin. This is not just something to stack more Satoshis, but it's most importantly also to support the network. Individual miners are the ones that keep the Bitcoin network decentralized. And by the way, you get KYC-free Bitcoin. That's why I use Simple Mining. I get an actual proper Bitcoin miner. They set it up for me. They repair it if it breaks down. And most importantly, they let me choose the pool and even connect my own full node. I'm completely sovereign and I'm completely in control, and I can sign up with Ocean, no account needed. I just give them a Bitcoin address and then there's mining going on. No KYC, nothing. So if you're ready to mine Bitcoin, go to simplemining.io, tell them you come from Robin, and let's mine Bitcoin together.
I heard that recently from Andrew Huberman on a podcast, and since then I tried it and it really changed how my afternoon goes. I try to really every single day in the first 30 to 60 minutes go out in the sun. And I always tried going out in the sun once a day, but usually like way later than that. And I got that weird stress feeling usually in the afternoon, like 2, 3 p.m. that I couldn't describe. I had most of my fights with people in the afternoon, most of the like stress feeling I wanted to go in the afternoon. And I started doing like the sun in the morning, and I cannot describe like what's happening. It's some cortisol thing, and like you get like the sun. Like I'm very far away from being able to describe that, but I've just tried it, and like it changed my afternoon. The afternoons are so much better. Just getting the sun the first 1 hour of the day.
100%, 100%. And it's, it's such a small thing, and people don't realize how big of an impact it has on us. Like your body doesn't need that much, but you need, like, we're just designed to be outside and we're designed to be in nature. And you can't change hundreds of thousands or millions of years of evolution in like one human lifetime, which is nothing. And so like we're designed to be outside. So that's like a different kind of fuel for your mental energy. We eat food, we drink water, but we also need sunshine. It's a different type of fuel. And we also need nature. It's a different type of fuel, and it's critical to our health and well-being and happiness.
I wanna, because I saw that the time is already very going forward, but and I really want to get that topic with you in there because I think it's super important and it touches on a lot of the things that we already covered today. It's my thesis around AI plus Bitcoin, because we talk a lot about Bitcoin, but also AI comes more and more into the question on this podcast. And I'm trying to write more things down, and I realized what will happen if Bitcoin is going to succeed over a long time and AI will succeed over a long time. And I put robotics in the category of AI, even though like obviously this deserves its own category, but like just for the thing. And I want to make that simple with one specific example of real estate. We all know there are many real estate investors that are now shifting their financial energy to Bitcoin. There are people that just sell their apartment or put the mortgage into Bitcoin, like all those things. Now, if Bitcoin sucks up the monetary energy of real estate and AI is driving down the cost of producing a home, producing an apartment building, because they can plan things, they can even hire robots in the future where there's no human labor. I mean, I think at some point we get to the point where you have a chat interface, you type in what kind of home you want, it will draft it, you will live, you can click around and do all sorts of things you want with it, and you just hire a bunch of robots to do that, and there's no human labor involved with like just building a home, which will drive down the cost of producing something massively. And so we come to this theory that you actually had, I think, the last 2 times on the podcast, where we might experience like a post-money world. And I'm more and more of this belief that we might actually get there. Because if we have a perfect money where everything is kind of stored in there and it holds like perfect the monetary premium, everything that can be copied with AI and robotics, and this is literally everything except Bitcoin, and maybe humans, I don't know, that might be another different thing. And in that world, it will be really interesting how we look at like what human life will look like. If we think AI will be to the maximum successful, robotics will be the maximum successful, and Bitcoin will be to the maximum successful, what will humans do? And because that's why I wanted to really ask that today, because we talked about purpose, we talked about all those things.
Yes.
Most human beings currently have a purpose of, I have to make rent, I have to survive. What if that purpose is no longer there? I think a lot of people have a very different life.
Yeah, definitely. And if you think about about first principles and our evolution and how we are designed to deal with stress and deal with problems, if all of a sudden you take away all problems, like we talked about, the brain can create like a stress or anxiety for you to deal with, and so I think, yeah, that's why more than ever it's really important for everybody to find, to start thinking and try and find what their purpose would be without money or trying to find rent or something like that. And so everybody should have like a backup answer of like, what would I do if I had all the money in the world? What would I do if I had, a total abundant, if I could have anything I wanted and I was rich, and that's a really important thought exercise, because you could say, okay, oh, I would go to the beach, I would do this and that, but that'll all get boring at a certain point, like Elon said. So what are you actually going to do? What are you going to do? And so for some people, it's going to be creating comedy, and that's what they love. For some people, it's going to be creating music and learning an instrument. For some people, it's going to be creating art and poetry. For some people, it's going to be going into the mountains and rock climbing. For some people, it's going to be surfing. For some people, and I think that maybe it was Salvador Dali or somebody said that the point of life is play, and I think that eh, whenever you're getting better at something and you're improving, if this is all a simulation or like a really complex video game, then all video games are about like leveling up your character and getting to the next level. And there's something very satisfying about that. And so, in a post money world where everything works out, I think that there's going to become new jobs, which will be like um, purpose aids or purpose guides. And so, like, imagine if you already found your purpose in life, and like, let's say you love rock climbing or something, and life is really good for you. Well, maybe just it won't. Maybe your purpose, part of our purpose, will be to help other people, and part of our purpose will be to help other people find purpose and say, okay, well, what do you really like to do? I really like to, do puzzles. You really like to do puzzles. Okay, well, would you like to make puzzles and create puzzles, and maybe there will be like a whole jobs dedicated for humans to help other humans find purpose in a post scarcity world, because there's so much fun to be had, right? Like, you can go surfing, there's so many toys, you can ride motorcycles, you could do so many different things, and so. Um, I think that's not going to go anywhere, our need for some sort of purpose. But I think that there's going to be maybe an existential crisis, and some growing pains during a period of time where our purpose is replaced by machines and robots and perfect money, and so it's a really good question. I think we're all kind of watching it come towards us, and it's a really exciting kind of utopian dystopian balance point where there's a real pressure, and we're going to see what happens. But I think the people who are going to come out on top are the people who already have some sort of a um, y- you know a calling or a purpose. And so it's like, you're not going to struggle for purpose because you're doing this podcast and you can continue to do that. I'm not going to struggle for a purpose because I'm a doctor, and that's my purpose, is to save lives and help people become, and fix problems. Like, if you cut your arm open, I go sew it up. Even if there's a robot that could do it, maybe somebody's going to want to see a human, and I can still do it. And even if I don't have that, I have a lot of backups. I love playing guitar. I love going climbing, these sorts of things. So I think that our challenge and our goal as individuals is to make sure that we have a lot of purpose. Uh, the real question is if we solve longevity, and how long does that purpose last if all of a sudden we live for thousands or tens of thousands of years, which is like mind blowing. But like, how do we shift into new purposes? And do we finally say, you know what? I've lived as long as I want to live, and I think it's time to experience death, after we've lived for 20,000 years. I don't know. These are all fascinating questions that are sci fi and like actually might be a thing. Like you said, it's like seems more and more realistic to consider these crazy sci-fi ideas every day. Um, and I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be very exciting to see what happens. Probably going to happen. Most is going to happen in our lifetime.
I think that longevity will blow people's mind in like 200-300 years, how old humans will be, like how old humans slowly get to be, how a 150-year-old is healthier than now some 40-year-olds.
Yeah, yeah.
This uh, the human body is already amazing, but like if we can really figure out what kills us and what kind of like is really bad for us and can extend that more and more. I mean, it's not that long ago that the average life expectancy was like 25, 30, and now it's like
Right.
70, 75. That's more than a 2x already. It's not crazy to think about humans getting to 200, 300, 400 years old.
It's going to happen. And it's so fascinating to think of this when you really think about this reality. Everything is mind blowing. Like, why do we die? Like, and we're a machine. Like, we're a physical thing, so we're solvable. Like, if you took Robin's atoms, like, exactly, and like could reconstitute them right here, there would be another Robin Seyr with like the exact same everything. Like, it's kind of insane to think about. We're just building blocks of reality, atoms and molecules and whatnot, and it's almost like we're more like patterns, and that's what leads me to think that we're these, maybe we're just computer programs, some kind of crazy computer programs. But it's crazy that we're born and that we live a certain amount of time and that we die. It's crazy that we sleep at night. Like, why does any of this happen? And for how much we know, we don't know the very basics about why we even exist. And maybe the whole point of this game is to figure those things out, you know. um, and who knows, maybe we will, maybe we won't. But it just opens up a whole philosophical can of worms, because any answer is crazy. Like, is there a god? If there is, that's crazy. Is there not a god? If there's not, that's crazy. Is there a beginning to time? If there is, that's crazy. If there's not, that's crazy. It's like every answer to any question in life is mind-bogglingly crazy. And um I think that's pretty cool. There's no like satisfying answer where it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense, and you just like kind of walk away from it. So it's it's mind blowing.
I There's actually something that I sometimes think about, like, what if this whole thing is just a video game? And then I'm thinking, what do I do in video games? I don't play a lot, but I play three things nice. I like FIFA, I like GTA, and I like chess.com.
Yeah,
Chess.com
yeah.
by far the most. I literally play it every single day. GTA I haven't played since a long time, but I can already tell you when GTA 6 will drop, I will be
Yeah,
gone
right.
for like 2 weeks. And FIFA here and there with some friends. And when you think about GTA, because it's such an interesting one, because it's basically your life in a game. Like, you can do things, you can rent a boat, you can even buy stocks, you can do all those things that you can do in real life. I I find it very boring to do the career mode. Like, I find it very boring to just oh, do this mission, do this mission. It's fun. I've played GTA 5 till 100%, or not 100%, like 80. I let the side quests go. And but the most fun I had in those games were just like driving around, seeing how far off that map can I go. Like, where does that map end somewhere? Can I fly with the plane into that building? What happens if I fly that plane into that building? That's the most fun I have in that game, more than like the career and then like getting to that robbing that bank and like doing that. And that's nice, but I don't like it that much. And so I try to kind of do that same thing in my life also, like with like
Right.
building the podcast. So, yeah, like, can I do a podcast? Oh yeah, shit, I have a podcast. Now I'm trying to write a book. Can I write a book that people actually like and enjoy and get somewhere? And I'm doing the Microseed thing. Like, I'm building a company with like seed phrase back. Like, I'm just like, oh, can I do that? Like, can I is that possibility? Like, just trying to like go into different directions.
Yeah, and life, this video game, if it is like a perfect video game and we're these perfect characters, it's definitely on hard mode. Like, mundane things are really hard for most people, like making a lot of money or surfing at a high level. So it's interesting. The video games almost gives us like a glimpse at being some kind of superhero. But when we come down to our own world, like, writing a book, it seems like a very, like, for a lot of people, like, I've written books now, and it's a big accomplishment, and it's a great feeling. But compared to robbing a bank, it's like a very boring thing. But I think I've never robbed a bank, but that's the thing, is there's consequences in real life, and there's morality, and there's the golden rule and stuff. And so, like, this video game, like, if this were a video game, you would have to design it so that people did not know it was a video game. Like, if you're plugged in and you get into the machine and they say, okay, this is going to be a 15-minute experience, you're not going to know it's a video game. And that will keep the consequences very real. If you fall off a cliff, the game will be over, you know, like, but you're going to be terrified, and it's going to be like the worst pain of your psychological pain. And so, that's how we would have to design it. Otherwise, it would be chaos, just like Grand Theft Auto, with everybody dying and like people, barely living, and it would be total chaos if you knew that there were no real consequences and you could just plug back into the game.
It would be crazy life if there are no life threats. Like whatever you do, you cannot die. Like imagine
Right.
how crazy life would be. You would
Oh yeah,
like that would be so fun.
it would be. Yeah, you would jump into a volcano to see what would happen. You'd be like, I'm just going to jump into this volcano. It'd be crazy. Yeah, it would be crazy.
I want to touch on one more thing before we end this. You said you will open your clinic. I think there is, if people listen to this, is already open. So this will come out after the 420. What is that? And like, where are you doing that? And like, what was kind of like your trigger for opening this new thing?
Yeah, well, healthcare is ruined in the United States. I mean, it's so bad. And 80% of people don't meet their deductible for insurance. Obviously, we don't have socialized medicine. We don't have medicine for all, like a lot of other countries do. And so it's a real problem. And suicide is commonly attributed to medical debt, and medical costs are really hurting our patients. So, as doctors, we gave an oath to first do no harm for people. And unfortunately, we're part of a system that is doing huge harm to people financially. And so they don't want to, how much do you want to trust your doctor or listen to your doctor's plan or think about health if you're, strapped for money and you can't pay bills and you go into bankruptcy because of medicine, because of healthcare. So that's really, for a lot of us doctors in the United States, it's causing us moral injury because we're part of a system that's hurting people. So I wanted to leave the system, um, and I wanted to start to create a parallel system. I have the means to do it, and I just really want to take care of people on my own terms. So I left the hospital system, and I created Kaufcare, which is like an acute type of clinic. So if you cut yourself or you have an abscess or you're sick, something like generally procedures, if you need a joint injected, that sort of thing. And we're opening in Denver. And it's pretty cool. I've been vibe coding. I've been learning. So I vibe coded an app. I vibe coded our website, Kaufcare.com, Kaufcare. But I think I have it geo blocked just to the US. So I'm sorry. Like we're trying, because the clinic's just in Denver, and we'll grow it in the US. But I vibe coded like a dynamic price, where you can switch to Bitcoin or Sats, and you can see how much things cost in Bitcoin or Sats. You can pay in Bitcoin at our clinic, and you get a 10% discount, because first it saves me money from Stripe and credit card fees, and it's also a volatile asset, and it's to just try and do my own part to help people accept Bitcoin. But we really care about people, and we want to put the care back in healthcare and just be part of, like a movement in the United States of physicians leaving hospitals, leaving the system that is really hurting people, and moving into private practice again and independent practice. Because out of one healthcare dollar, there's only 7 cents that is spent on doctors and nurses and like the thing that patients actually need. And the rest of it is like on administration and all these other things. And there's a lot of bureaucracy and bloat and a lot of waste. And so we're trying to fix that system. And that gives me a lot of purpose and meaning, because I've been a board certified emergency room physician for 23 years. And so I want to take all those skills and treat patients, and I want to do it on my, in my own clinic, in my own way, very technology forward. And so, yeah, we're opening Monday, and it's really exciting. The feedback has been great. I've had a couple viral posts on X that saw like hundreds of thousands of views and reposts and thousands of comments. And it just feels good. I think it's the right moment, and I think people want this. And then we would like to expand this into a national brand and find ways to fix problems like access of care for people who can't afford it at all, or specialty care that we don't do right now. It's hard to fix all of medicine, but I think that innovation is a way to do it. And then bringing Bitcoin into the fold is just something that makes me very proud to help create those circular economies for Bitcoiners, and to have the Denver Bitcoin community or broader come to Kaufcare and be able to spend some Bitcoin and get a discount for it, and just get the best care possible.
I love that. I like it's. I don't think that Bitcoin will fix the world, but Bitcoiners might. Bitcoiners might fix
I
the world.
love that. Yeah. That's great. Yeah. That's a powerful saying, and yeah. I think that's something I need to think about. That's great. Yeah, Bitcoiners will fix the world. Um, I hope so. There's a
If
lot that needs to be fixed.
because like if you think about it, like if you have, and one sentence you said, it's very true, and it's the same for me with the podcast. Like you had the means to do it, and obviously a podcast is like a lot cheaper to do. You just need yourself to be free. But like I started the podcast, and the main reason for that was because I could survive a few months, maybe a year, maybe beyond that, on my Bitcoin, even if I had zero income from a podcast. I was lucky that I never had to do that,
Right.
but that was the reason for me to jump. And so, like, having sound money, having a foundation, not to care, not having to not being completely on this race with money, allows you to think about those things. And then what do? You try to fix something that you can fix. And so, like, I don't think Bitcoin will fix the world, but Bitcoiners might.
Amazing.
Really cool.
Amazing.
Really
Well,
cool.
yeah, I'm doing my part. I'm going to try in
You
medicine.
you're definitely doing your part, and I'm already looking forward in half a year, 1 year to look back as how it's going for you, and like what you're up to. We have an end routine, as you might know from the previous appearances, where the previous guest is asking a question for the next guest without knowing who the next guest actually is. And the previous guest asked you the question: what has Bitcoin taught you about yourself?
Yeah. I think that the biggest thing for me that I've learned is low time preference. I think my whole life until I discovered Bitcoin, it was really like from moment to moment, and like maybe month at a time. But now I really purposefully have gone through the exercise of having a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, and a 20-year plan. And I never even thought to have something like that. But now I'm like interested in those sorts of things, because being a Bitcoiner, I know, or well, I think I know where this is all headed, and the resources I'll have. And so, what do I want to do with those resources, and what kind of life do I want to live, and how do I make an impact? And so, I think about those things, uh, more deeply, whereas I never really considered them. So it really has given me that vision of you know shaping a long-term future. So it's exciting.
That's great. That's crazy. I love that. Thank you so much, Noah, for being on the podcast. Before I let you go, where can people find you? Where can people find the clinic? Where can people find all the things that you're doing?
Yeah, so I'm at Noah Kaufman, MD, on Twitter and elsewhere. NoahKaufman, MD. But then the brand and the new clinic is Kaufcare, at Kaufcare, Kaufcare, or kaufcare.com. Sorry, some countries are geo blocked. DM me. I'll vibe code unblocking your country, as long as it's not a big scam center like the Korea or something. But yeah, that's where you can find me. Follow along the journey. Definitely see what we're building. The Kaufcare app is in the App Store, and that's pretty cool. You can see what medical procedures cost in Bitcoin. And yeah, and then I know you're going to ask the next guest something, so I would ask them, if you had rubbed a genie bottle and you had 3 wishes, and you can't wish for another wish, what 3 wishes would you wish for?
Another 3 wishes. That's always like infinite wishes. The people are trying to hack the system.
I think I'd still
I
wish
love
I could
that.
fly.
Man, flying is a big thing. I like imagine how cool that would be. Like
It would
I'm
be
on the
so much fun.
4th, 5th floor here, I just like going out and like
Yeah.
flying down, not having to take the stairs. Like that would be amazing.
It would be amazing. Yeah, you'd have to deal with everybody, the sensationalism around it, unless everybody could do it. Like you'd have to hide. You'd have to hide it because otherwise people would be like, "Oh my God, that guy just flew down from the top of the building to get a coffee. Who are you?" And then like the news would want to interview you, and then like the government would dissect you and like want to study you, and like so like people don't think of the second order problems of like being the only person who can fly.
That would be that's an actually like if you are one person that can do something extraordinary, which you are the literally only person that can do that, that's a huge burden on you.
It's a
That,
huge
that's not
burden.
easy.
Unless you keep it secret or private or yeah. It's kind of like the problem billionaires have, but or celebrities or something. It's like I don't envy celebrities. I don't think I'd want that. So
Yeah, there are like 2,000 billionaires, like 3,000. There's not a lot of them out there, so it's almost like 1 out of 100.
it's true.
Really cool. Thank you so much, Noah, for being on the podcast. And also thank you so much for everyone that is watching and listening for joining us today. As always, I'll be back. This content is for educational and entertainment purposes only and does not constitute financial advice.